The bass line is sort of simple when you look at it maybe on paper, but when you hear its role in the song, it's very much like a lead bass presentation. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. Despite being slightly familiar with the Mars Volta over the years, I had never once heard of the band name At the Drive-In, but I finally heard them and heard of them for the first time earlier this year here on the channel with their track Quarantined. And what a unique sound. I'm still not really sure what to make of it. It was spacey. It was a really textured listen, a little chaotic at times, but like a really pretty chaos. It kind of reminded me when some of those classic Pink Floyd songs just like hit. You know, that feeling you get? It gave me that feeling. But last month, our Patreon community voted another track from this same album into first place, and that's Armed Scissor, which is from 2003's Relationship of Command. Let's check it out.
Yes, this is the campaign slithered in trails in the cargo bay. A new turd is a vastness, hollow vacuum, choppy oxygen tanks.
3, 1, 2, 3.
They hibernate, but how they kiss the ground, pucker up and kiss the asphalt now. Tease this amputations, winter.
Okay, cool theme established here by the bass line. It's basically picking the root notes, going up to this A, G, then it's going to this F sharp. But I like this kind of grunty tone. You can hear it's got some drive on it. I'll go back to the beginning because I want to kind of hear what these guitar parts are setting up. Because if I remember the last song from the same album, they were so atmospheric but provided so much of the dissonance. It just wasn't right up front and obvious. It was kind of in the background here. And it sounds like it's, you know, from the same album. Of course, it's going to sound similar. So let me just go back, find that bass line exactly, then we'll dial in a tone, see if I can get something close. Starting there on E. I think that was a dominant chord. So I think it's got this, or minor 7, so what would that be? Kind of has a bit of that wants to go somewhere sound to it. Let's see. Yeah. Wants to go to A minor, where we are now.
Yes, this is the campaign slithered in trails in the cargo bay.
Repeats again.
A new turd is a vastness, hollow vacuum, choppy oxygen tanks.
I think I missed one of those. Let's see.
They hibernate, but how they kiss the ground, pucker up and kiss the asphalt now.
It's not chromatic. I swear it was for a second. Maybe it was a passing tone I thought I heard. But that time it went, which puts it all in, let's say, E minor. Again, I don't have enough data yet. I'm not going to get too in the weeds on that, but it's good to just know. What I do like about this guitar part in the beginning is that it sounds like it's arpeggiating the A minor, which we're on. It sounded like, but I think it's actually going up to the 9 and hitting the flat 7 or the 7 in a minor key. So we have this sound. So not the octave, but above the octave. So A, B, and it's kind of oscillating between that G major third interval with an A in the bass. Something like that. Okay, one more time. I'm not going to go all the way back to the beginning, but just where that first thing started. Yeah. Okay, I swear there was an F natural in there.
They hibernate, but how they kiss the ground, pucker up and kiss the asphalt now.
Hold on.
Asphalt now. Kiss the ground, pucker up and kiss the asphalt now.
Maybe I'm just hearing things.
Tease this amputations, winter glare rings, it has access now. Get away, get away. Transmission to the water scissor. Get away, get away. Transmission from the water scissor.
Clever.
Get away, transmission from the water scissor. Get away, get away.
Heating up. I like what I'm hearing. This is cool. They brought back the intro, but almost reprised the verse groove. It's like they cut the intro off prematurely earlier. You didn't get to hear that, which is basically foreshadowed by this bass line we have, here in verse 1. So we got to hear the intro, but like continued. And if my spidey senses are picking this up, it almost seems like the vocal melody is doing what that guitar part was, again, foreshadowing or suggesting earlier with the... So you hear that oscillation between two notes up in the vocals there. And then we have like a C major thrown in, so it's like the first major chord really introduced. Makes it a bit brighter. It's going somewhere. But listen to these vocals here. I swear they might not be these exact notes. They sounded close, but it could be just a continuation of what that guitar part was doing. That whole thing. I think it's a whole step down or something, but it just reminded me of that. Let me get this tone dialed in because I feel like my tone is very clean compared to what I'm hearing. Let me kick on the drive channel. There's the F natural. Maybe it was thrown in. I'm not going to keep going back to that, but I hear it gone up to here in the chord progression, the bass. Hey. Okay, now a new variation of where we were on verse 1. Really quickly, let's talk about the tone for a second. It sounds like a classic kind of tube saturation, maybe with a pick, maybe hard finger style. It could play as either or present as either, but I hear that kind of spongy, warm, punchy thing happening. Like it's not gritty per se, but it's got a little drive. So I'm going to lean into some of the mids and the lower mids. You don't have this clanky kind of thing going on. It just has this a little bit of attack, but it's got more of a wolfiness, so it's a little warmer, maybe not that overdriven. Maybe something like that. Let me pull the edge a little farther back. Maybe like that, but it's got some mid-range in there, some tame grit, as I like to call it. Let's roll with that. Maybe a bump in the bass. Now I'm clipping out the whole channel. There we go. Let's roll with that. I think that is suitable. New groove established here. Reminds me of verse 1, but a little more syncopated. Ooh, cool way to work that back in. Yeah, it almost even sounds like a Stingray. I think I still just have too much drive on it. So, something like that. I don't know. Gonna play around with it a little bit more. There we go. Sounds a bit more like what I was hearing there. Okay, it's a reprise of the verse bass line. Like it, like a funkier interpretation of it. Nice. You hear the guitar and the vocals going for that same pitch up, but they're not quite on the mark with each other. I think that's an intentional effect. It starts to build a little bit of tension. It rubs. Almost like a minor second, nails on a chalkboard in terms of the interval, just a little bit of this. But just for a split second, you can hear it in the trail off and the guitar is like bending up to it. And that's after this kind of square groove established by the bass to lay out the chord progression, which is, again, harkening back to verse 1. Very A minor, almost reminds me of like Chicago 46 and 2, same type of thing. Did I say Chicago 46 and 2? Freudian slip. I'm talking about 25 or 6 to 4. Wow. Okay, so that's this. So it has that epic brooding sort of thing in the chromaticisms. That's established by the bass line, the drum grooves picking up. Now we have some of that higher tinged clashing that goes on with the higher guitars and the vocals here. Dig that. That's very like Volta-ish. Of course, this is predates that band, but I get the sound now. Okay. Cool. Okay, they are writing this ambiguous line, I think. If I've got my ducks in a row here, I think the determining factor, whether it's an E minor or A minor, is just the F. They use both in the same phrase. Here and there. And maybe it wasn't in that intro bass line, because that's very much E minor. But now when it goes to this next part, got the C major in there, it's got the F in there, and it goes back to the A minor. The problem is A minor exists in both E minor and A minor in terms of keys. That chord exists in E minor too. So again, we talk a lot about this in songs where it kind of straddles two keys. There's really only one note that changes, and they play with that note. They play with that color tone to, I don't know, have their cake and eat it too with the tonalities of both keys. It's nothing really groundbreaking or crazy. I just like the ambiguity it throws up because it can make the chorus have a whole different flavor than, say, the verse part, and only really be changing one note if they're really swapping in and out of keys that way. Okay. Okay, now we have the major 5 in there. It almost has this Andalusian cadence thing. Major 5, B major, which resolves nicely back to the 1, which they're implying here is E minor. So again, I think they're just hopscotching between them, but that's a new chord, a new sound. And it's not quite Andalusian, it's similar. It's building kind of a bridge thing here. Forget how high he can sing. But I wanted to comment too as well on the guitar, the purpose of it in this piece. It's adding texture, spaciness, ambiance, atmosphere, sure, all of the things I said. But when I really try to strip away everything they want you to hear, which is maybe the bass groove, the vocals, everything kind of up center, if you really just block that out and listen to the guitar parts, it's like they often just oscillate on the same couple notes and recontextualize the chords as they happen. But it almost sounds like the left channel is like a reverse of the right channel. Not literally like in post-production, but it just has this ping pong thing where maybe one's following the other a couple beats behind. And again, it's It's this really dreamy space it's filling. It's not really contributing anything heavy. It's not like a chord progression, you know, like you strum on an acoustic guitar. It's not that. It's not a lead. It's not a solo. It's just there. It's space. But it thickens everything up and, I don't know, provides this slightly unsettling feeling. Sorry, I had to cough. I think you can tell I'm battling a sinus infection today. I kind of sound like this. It's awful, but you know, the show must go on. But anyway, figuring out the role of the guitars with this band, this song in particular, is really kind of fun. I'm just kind of trying to tune out everything else and go, what exactly is it they're doing back there? I like stuff like this. A lot of ringing out, high stuff. See, they rode on that B major there, the major 5, really drives home that. Back to 1.
Transmission from the one-armed scissor. Transmission from the one-armed scissor. Transmission from the one-armed scissor.
Now we're riding on the F. We're almost to the end, but instead of that F being just sort of a passing stepping stone musically, they're kind of riding on the chord now. So it's like, hey, we're back in this A minor sound. I think they've just bounced between A minor and E minor the whole song. That's really what it seems to me. It's very effective. You get a lot more color and flavor out of just one key by having 2 keys that are very similar, maybe changed by 1 note. It's a clever songwriting tool to have that 1 note be the pivot between what flavor you're hearing, which in this song, it's sort of like the verse and the chorus to me. Oh, they're riding on the F here. And back to the intro. That's one of those songs where the bass line is sort of simple. When you look at it maybe on paper, I could imagine the tabs just being 8th notes and 8th rests. But when you hear its role in the song, it's very much like a lead bass presentation. And that's all because of the way the guitars are orchestrated to just not be the focal point. It's really like bass way down low, vocals up in the stratosphere, adding a lot of texture with the kind of despair and anguish in the tone of his voice. The drums kind of gluing those together, you know, rhythm section, melody. And the guitars just take up this really cool space. Again, it's very hard to describe. And every time I hear like a song ending like that, which it played out into just nothing, I'm always like, I want to go to Spotify right now and just see where it goes. It's kind of a cliffhanger. And, you know, I save full albums for Patreon. We do those each month over there. I have put Relationship of Command on a poll. I think it performed fairly well, but didn't win. I can't remember. It was a while back, but it's an album I want to hear. I like what I'm hearing from this album. There's a lot of little Easter eggs and nuggets, and you got to really be paying attention to compositions like theirs, or you'll miss something that's hidden in plain sight musically. Anyway, second song from this album, Relationship of Command. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. I'd love to hear more of this band, but I know I also need to do more of the Mars Volta. I've only done 1 song by them. It's here on the end screen. You can go check it out. But if you want to support the channel, come find us on Patreon. Full albums, once again, every month. Lots of other fun stuff. Bass lessons, music theory lessons. And if you enjoyed this video, please like the video. Like it twice because I have a sinus infection and I just need your support today. Subscribe to the channel. I love you all. We'll see you in the next one.